For years, Bring Me the Horizon fans have been wondering if they're ever going to go back to what started it all, with being one of the most heaviest, unique sounding metal bands in the scene. And with their new single Dehumanized and them re-recording one of their most controversial albums, Count Your Blessings, I think that they definitely answered that question. On this episode of the Vibe Archive, we're going to be taking a deep dive look at the band Bring Me the Horizon and their new single Dehumanized, along with them re-recording a album that a lot of people had a lot of mixed feelings of, Count Your Blessings. And we're going to be taking a look at the overall evolution of the band over the past 20 years that has really brought them to sky-high heights in the whole metal music industry and is one of the most well-known bands out. This was an episode that I knew that I had to do as soon as I heard their new single, Dehumanized. So whenever I saw that Bring Me the Horizon was dropping a new music video, I had to watch it. Now, I haven't really been that big of a constant listener for them. In the past couple of years, the kind of era that I was a big fan of was Shadow Moses, Can You Feel My Heart, that timeline of their music, which I thought was super sick. I loved Sykes' really original voice, because a lot of the bands that were coming out with the whole screamo, the whole screamo that everybody says and whatever, I love that shit. I came out with that whenever in high school. That was my jam, all of it. Asking Alexandria, Of Mice and Men, Bring Me the Horizon. Oh my God! If you know, you know. But that was the whole genre that I was really big into. And so I thought that Bring Me the Horizon really set themselves apart from the rest of them with Ollie Sykes' voice, and whenever they really started implementing that, I don't want to say like techno, but that like really cinematic electronic like atmosphere that they brought into the music, which whenever they first came out, they were super heavy. Just like all the rest of the bands that were just really heavy, coming out double bass the whole entire time, which I'm not dogging whatsoever. I love that type of shit. But then whenever they made that kind of evolution where they started really implementing the keyboards and the synth and all of that, I think that it really catapulted them into another level of that sound with bands, because a lot of bands will kind of get caught up and they won't really, make that evolution of their sound. They kind of stay stagnant, and unfortunately sometimes it kind of hurts them. But Bring Me the Horizon always kept leveling up. And to a certain point, a lot of people were like, oh, they're mainstream now. They're really pop. Whenever I saw that they dropped this new song, Dehumanized, the cover photo was kind of gory, and I was like, what the hell did they just drop? Clicked it, and holy shit, I feel like they did a complete 180 like switch up, where everybody was saying this and that about them, and maybe not. Maybe they were just, more of just wanting to go back to the roots in that sort of sense. But man, I was not expecting the music video, and I was not expecting the overall sound of Dehumanized. That shit was crazy. Totally caught me off guard. I've listened to it multiple times, and man, I feel like they shocked their old fans by going, oh yeah, you guys want the old shit? Okay, check this out. And then they also shocked the new fans by going, oh, you guys don't know where we came from. Check this shit out. And regardless of what side you're on the, fan side, oh, I'm an old fan, oh, I'm a new fan, man, I guarantee that you didn't expect that song to come out of them. And then, not to mention, at the same time, them re-recording one of their most iconic, in my opinion, and controversial albums, Count Your Blessings, because that album, I was watching a couple of interviews on it, especially gearing up for this episode, because I wanted to get as much info as I could of this whole chapter that they're kind of beginning. And that album was so controversial, Count Your Blessings, because let's face it, the audio recording was not it. I kind of like the real dirty recordings, and it just might be me. You know, it came out way back when, kind of just had that real dirty audio, just, you know, real metal type sounding shit, which I get. For an artist, you always feel like it was a real shame that those songs didn't get the notice and the overall quality that they deserve. And so for them to circle back and go, okay, let's not just remaster this album, because even they said, oh, well, just the whole recording process was shit. I was having an amp go out. The engineer didn't care. We were kind of in like a weird time period of our life, and it was just overall the vibe was not it. And you can just tell with the overall recording. And you can only polish a recording so much before it just needs to be re-recorded, regardless if it's how you play it, how you sing it, the overall, you know, the gain was turned too much. Oh, this setting wasn't right. So there's many things that can kind of throw it off. If the whole album just isn't hitting, somebody can remaster it all they want, and it's still gonna have that kind of, that little taste of what you didn't like in it. So for them to go back and to spend the time of relearning the guitar and relearning the vocals, and Ollie starting to sing like that again, and them kind of tapping in to that old Bring Me the Horizon and really kind of bringing it as like a 2.0 in a sense, I thought that was super cool. I wasn't, to be honest, I wasn't like a super big fan of that album. Like I said, I liked the later stuff that came out, the Shadow Moses type of like era, but I still had respect for that album and, you know, that whole scene of where the music was right then. But for them to go back, especially at the level that they are, some people would just bury it. They'd go, oh, don't even bring up that album. We're just going to bury it. We'll throw a remaster on it and fuck it. You know what I mean? The fans can deal with it or whatever. But for them to go back and to relearn it all, to re-record it all, and to give the fans what they've always wanted with that album, and to kind of give it that next level like push that it never got, I thought that was just really cool for a band that really didn't have to do it, for a band that headlines every single show that they're on festivals, and they're one of the biggest names on the festival. Like, they did not have to do that for any sort of sense, whether it was a lack of songs or to stay relevant whatsoever. But for them to go back and re-record that whole album and give it the notice that it needed, and then to drop a single like Dehumanized, they just totally threw a curveball and knocked it out of the park, in my opinion. And I think that a lot of fans feel the same way, because the music video of Dehumanized is fucking crazy. How gory it is, and just how like, man, how metal that shit was. For the fans that have become fans in just the past couple of years, where they were really kind of what people would say mainstream, and they kind of did a little bit, you know, they were going for the radio play. And after you do metal for so long, you probably do want to veer off into some other things, especially because of how talented they are and how versatile they are. You probably, okay, I'm done doing metal. I've been doing metal and playing metal shows for years. I do kind of like this, you know, pop range, or I kind of like mixing it all together and see what I can come up with. But for them to go from that and then go back multiple stages to just solely screaming metal, just no choruses, no singing like that. I mean, it was just heavy, and that shit was badass. I think that is probably one of the coolest things that any sort of band could do, because like I said, a lot of bands would just leave that shit in the past. Oh, that's our first album, deal with it. But for them to go back and really level it up, and they even talked about how they forgot to play a lot of those songs because they don't play them. So for them to go back and listen and try to learn everything again, and then to bring it to the main stage at their point of their career, is just super sick, man. That was hats off to Bring Me the Horizon for doing that. So just to give the fans kind of the evolution of how far back Bring Me the Horizon just went to really level that album up. It started with Count Your Blessings 2006, Suicide Season 2008, There Is a Hell, Believe Me I've Seen It, There Is a Heaven, Let's Keep It a Secret 2010, Sempiternal 2013. That's the Spirit 2015. Ammo 2019, Posthuman Next Gen 2024. And then I forgot that they did release like an EP called Posthuman in 2020. So that kind of gives you the timeline of Bring Me the Horizon's catalog. And like I said, I really am a fan of that 2013 to 2015 kind of range right there. And around that time frame, I know that that's whenever they brought in the band member Jordan Fish, which he kind of brought in that electronic type of feel that I was talking about, where, you know, it wasn't like electronic, but it was like almost cinematic soundscapes, I would say. And he just left in 2023 for whatever reason. But, you know, Bring Me the Horizon is one of those bands that they're always going to be relevant, and they're always going to bring the energy no matter who's in the band. And I like how, of course, Ollie Sykes, super original voice. I mean, his overall like screaming, and obviously his singing too, but his screaming wasn't like the typical scream. You could hear that it was Ollie Sykes. Like, it didn't even matter if it was a new song you didn't have never even heard it before. His screaming was like, oh, that's Bring Me the Horizon, Ollie Sykes, for sure. But overall, I like how the core of the band has stayed with the band. Ollie Sykes, Lee Malia, Matt Nichols. I mean, you've always seen those faces for Bring Me the Horizon. So to see that it stayed that, and, you know, like I said, they had Jordan Fish that came in and left, and they brought on some other people. And so I know that with this whole era, that even Ollie Sykes has mentioned that he had to kind of learn how to scream again like that, and he kind of had to retrain his voice to do that again, because, again, they kind of haven't done that heavy of music in such a long time. They probably have iconic songs that whenever they play a show, they have to play them. But doing that many songs in a row, and to be able to record it the way that you want to, because again, they re-recorded Count Your Blessings because of the recording. So for them to really give it what they wanted it to be, you really got to retrain everything and go, okay, where did I go wrong? What can I improve on over all these years? What have I learned too? Okay, let me implement that. And I don't know. For them to do that is just something that I really haven't heard another band do before. And I think that that is so sick, how they went back, tapped into their very first album and went, how can we resurrect this, and to bring it to the new level, to really give the fans what they wanted and what we feel like we wanted out of it too, because it's not just about the fans. Yes, it's about the fans, but ultimately it's the band's music that they came up with. And, you know, whenever you walk away from an album or anything that you do, whether it's a dance rehearsal, a podcast, a song, anything, and you go, damn it, I could have done a lot better on that, and I wish I could go back and redo it. Well, now's your chance. I've listened to that album. Like I said, it wasn't like specifically one of my favorites, but I went back and kind of like compared them, and yeah, you can just hear the difference. And I know why the old fans are now going, what? Bring Me the Horizon just dropped Count Your Blessings, repented? Which I thought that that specific phrase was cool. They didn't say like re-recorded or like remastered. Like I said, they didn't want to remaster it, but to say repented, I thought that that was kind of like a really unique, you know, aesthetic way of saying we're resurrecting this. And so, I don't know. I thought that them dropping Count Your Blessings and then on top of it, Dehumanized, and how heavy it all was just badass. And I feel like this move that they did really speaks to a bigger picture, because you always see, not always, but for the most part, you see a lot of heavy metal bands, they start out really heavy, you know, they gain a lot of popularity with this specific sound, and then they become huge. And then I don't know if it's like label influence, I don't know if it's like genre burnout, I don't know really like what it is, but it always seems like bands end up kind of veering off of what got them noticed. And the ones who stay true, it's a very tricky thing. If you don't evolve, you kind of lose the interest of fans. But at the same time, you have to really ride that line of evolving to keeping your fans interested, but also at the same time, you don't want to veer too far off to where then you lose the sound that got you noticed in the first place. And I feel like Bring Me the Horizon coming back to that not only shuts up a lot of criticism that they get from people, oh, they're this or they're that, them coming out and going, okay, you want to see what we got? Boom, check this out. I feel like that also will speak to other bands that, hey, you don't have to just be pigeonholed into this thing where you evolve and now you're kind of like this pop like metal band and you're mainstream and what you can't do what makes you happy. Like you can do whatever you want to do. And so I feel like the overall kind of bigger picture, if you want to say, of them doing that is, I'm an artist. I can do whatever the hell I want to do, regardless of labels, mainstream media, whatever, fans and their, certain opinions on what we're going to do next. We're in charge and we'll flip the script if we really want to and show you that we still got it. I feel like them doing that kind of almost gave other bands confidence and going, just because you're a pop artist, just because you're a metal band and that you do this and that you are expected to do a certain thing doesn't mean that you have to, and it doesn't mean that you're going to fall off the face of the earth and your fans are going to abandon you. Sometimes your fans could even be like, what, that's crazy that they did that, I like them so much more now that they did that. And that's how I feel with Bring Me the Horizon. They were one of my favorite bands years back, and I kind of like evolved from listening to them. I saw that they dropped a new album and that new single Dehumanized, and holy shit, they gained even more of my attention and more of my respect, going, holy shit, they did it. They went back to what they, to what people didn't think that they were ever going to do, and they knocked it out of the damn park. Crazy. I feel like they just gained so much more fans just with that kind of new drop on that, which was what they were known for to begin with. Another thing that I saw Bring Me the Horizon going viral for with this whole new transition evolution type of thing that they did was the Outbreak Festival that they played Count Your Blessings live all the way through, and the crowd was going crazy. So many crowd surfers. I mean, and to hear Ollie Sykes scream like that the entire time, multiple songs back to back to back to back, and it is just heavy. I thought that was so sick. Just because, like I said before, I've watched some of their live stuff, and really where they've had an orchestra and they've had like really, laid back in your feelings type of stuff. And this set was just in your face, heavy metal, screaming, double bass, crowd surfing. Man, that Outbreak Festival with Bring Me the Horizon, and it was just posted like a few weeks back. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out, because man, to be in that crowd would have been sick. And I felt like that just goes to show how the fans are reacting to them re-recording Count Your Blessings, and the new single Dehumanized was just like, man, I feel like all their fans are just going nuts over it right now. And then I feel like even some of their later fans that liked some of their mainstream stuff. I saw like a couple memes where it was like the new Bring Me the Horizons fan whenever they see Dehumanized, and it was like them like, oh, what the hell did I just watch? Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like a lot of those fans too can respect and almost start to become fans of heavier music from that. I know that I would, because they made the complete 180. You always see the bands go super heavy to soft. You never see bands or an artist go soft to really heavy. And so if you're a fan of Bring Me the Horizon in their later years, whenever they were soft, and then for them to drop that, I just wonder how many fans turned to metal and became huge metal fans from that. So, I don't know, just something to think about. And again, for them to drop the music video of Dehumanized to be so heavy and so gory and just I don't know, I almost feel like it was a middle finger too to like the haters and the mainstream, like, you guys want to pigeonhole us, check this out, you guys won't play this song, I guarantee that you guys don't want to play this of us. And it kind of gives us that, like, we take pride in that we can make something that everybody wants to play, and then we can also piss those same people off by playing what we want to play, and then kind of flexing and going, yeah, we still got it. We could do both. We can play anything that you guys want, and we can dominate with it. So I feel like that's what makes fans excited again. That's what kind of mixes up the music scene a little bit and kind of throws a little wrench into the whole mainstream radio play kind of cog, is that if you're a radio station and you go, oh, well, Bring Me the Horizon just dropped this new song, but we can't talk about it because it doesn't fit this certain narrative. Like, come on. You can't talk about Bring Me the Horizon right now and play any of their stuff without talking about what they're doing right now. And so, that might scare some people off, but I think that also excites a lot of people, especially whenever we live in a time where people are really wanting that raw shit that comes out regardless of what genre it is. I've said it before, regardless if it's rap, country, metal, doesn't matter. They want the raw shit, and man, Bring Me the Horizon brought the raw shit. So for a band that has literally reached the heights that Bring Me the Horizon has, and for them to tap back into where it all started and to relearn the songs, record the very first album all the way through again, come back with a live set at a festival and play the whole album all the way through, and to drop a music video on top of it that is super horror, gory, just rated R type shit, for sure. A 10 out of 10 playlist pick of the week. And if you're not totally up to date on Bring Me the Horizon, check them out. Go back, listen to their old stuff, listen to the old Count Your Blessings album, then listen to the new one, listen to the era that I'm a big fan of, the 2015, the 2013 kind of era, whenever they started kind of implementing the more cinematic synth type stuff, and then even check out their most recent stuff so you can really see the evolution that they took, and to see the heights that they've came up, and then to really revert back to where it all started. Man, I think that the story and the sounds, man, that's why this had to be my next episode of the Vibe Archive for my playlist pick of the week, because I feel like, man, you can't not talk about it. So if you haven't yet, go check them out. Drop in the comments your favorite Bring Me the Horizon song. What song got it started for you where you could go, man, I wish I could listen to this song for the first time again. Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear that. And if you have any other type of songs that maybe other people haven't heard of, drop them in the comments. And let me know what you think of Dehumanized. Did you like it? Did you not like it? What'd you think? So that does it for this episode. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next time on the Vibe Archive.